Once upon a time, in a kingdom nestled between rolling hills and dense forests, there lived a wise king with 2 sons. These sons, Peter and Paul, were twins, but their characters were as different as night and day. Peter was aggressive, cruel, and filled with pride, always seeking to dominate and control. In contrast, Paul was kind, gentle, and humble, always looking to help others and share his blessings. As the years passed, the king grew older and weaker, and the time came for him to choose a successor. The decision weighed heavily on his heart, for he knew that only one could rule the kingdom. After much thought, he decided to test his sons to see who was truly fit to be king. The king devised a challenge. He would send both Peter and Paul into the vast and mysterious forest to search for a rare and unique flower. This flower, known as the flower of destiny, had only 2 specimens in existence, both of which were preserved in the king's garden. The first son to find and return with the flower would be crowned the next king. The king called his sons to his side and explained the task. He showed them a sample of the flower of destiny and instructed them to begin their search. Peter, driven by his desire for power, immediately set off without a moment's hesitation, eager to claim the throne. Paul, on the other hand, took a more cautious approach. He gathered supplies, including water, food, and fruits, and bid farewell to his father and the elders of the palace. Peter, filled with ambition, raced through the forest, his mind already planning how he would use his newfound power to oppress the weak, marry the women of his choice, and enrich himself. He was so focused on his plans that he failed to notice the dangers of the forest and the need to prepare for the journey. Meanwhile, Paul arrived at the forest the next day, well prepared and with a heavy heart. He was not eager to become king through such a competition. Instead of searching for the flower, he called out for his brother, concerned that Peter had not brought any supplies. "Peter, Peter, where are you?" he shouted, hoping to find him and offer his help. Peter, deep in his search, heard Paul's calls, but chose to ignore them. He was determined to find the flower first and secure his place as king. As the days turned into weeks, and weeks into months, both brothers continued their search, but neither found the elusive flower. On a faithful evening in the 3rd month, the brothers finally met in the forest. Paul was overjoyed to see his brother, but Peter was furious, not wanting Paul to interfere with his quest. Paul, ever the peacemaker, suggested they return home and admit they had not found the flower. However, Peter's pride and ambition got the better of him, and he refused, telling Paul to leave while he continued his search. Paul, knowing that the search was not worth risking his brother's life, decided to return home. As he was leaving, he stumbled upon the flower of destiny beneath a large tree. Overwhelmed with joy, he decided to go back and inform Peter of his discovery. When he returned, he found Peter napping, and he excitedly woke him to share the news. Peter, consumed by jealousy and rage, realized that his brother's discovery meant he would not become king. In a fit of anger, he took a rock and struck Paul twice on the head, killing him. He then buried his brother's body and took the flower for himself, rushing back to the castle to claim his prize. Upon his return, Peter lied to his father, claiming he had found the flower after a long and arduous search. The king, pleased with his son's success, inquired about Paul, but Peter coldly replied that he was not his brother's keeper and did not know his whereabouts. The king, sensing something amiss, ordered his guards to search for Paul. The search for Paul continued for months, and then years, but he was never found. The king, heartbroken and filled with regret, could not rest until he knew the fate of his beloved son. Meanwhile, Peter, now the king, lived in fear and guilt, knowing the terrible deed he had committed. Many years later, a brave and skilled hunter named Dada ventured into the same forest. After a long day of hunting, he found a strange piece of wood that resembled a flute. Curious, he cleaned it and blew into it, expecting a simple whistle. Instead, the wood began to sing. Song of the Bone. Hunter, hunter, it is my bone you are blowing. It is my bone you are blowing. My brother killed me in the forest and took away my flower. Now, he is going to be the next king, while I remain in the forest. Hunter, hunter, it is my bone you are blowing. Dada, stunned and unable to believe his ears, blew into the bone again, and it sang the same haunting song. He rushed home to his wife, who also blew into the bone, and heard the same chilling message. Realizing the gravity of the situation, they decided to take the bone to the king. The king, now an old man, listened in disbelief as the hunter recounted his story. He took the bone and blew into it, and the song rang out once more. Father, father, it is my bone you are blowing. It is my bone you are blowing. My brother killed me in the forest and took away my flower. Now he is going to be the next king, while I remain in the forest. Father, father, it is my bone you are blowing. The king, overwhelmed with grief and sorrow, recognized his son's voice and wept bitterly. He ordered Peter to be brought before him and handed him the bone. Peter, unaware of its significance, blew into it, and the song echoed through the hall. Brother, brother, it is my bone you are blowing. It is my bone you are blowing. You killed me in the forest and took away my flower. Now you are going to be the next king, while I remain in the forest. Brother, brother, it is my bone you are blowing. Peter, realizing the truth of his actions, fell to his knees and begged for mercy. He confessed to killing his brother to secure the throne. The king, filled with anger and sorrow, ordered his guards to lock Peter in the dungeon, where he would remain until the day he was banished from the kingdom forever. Moral lessons learned. 1. The dangers of pride and ambition. Peter's pride and ambition led him to commit a heinous crime, ultimately resulting in his downfall. This story teaches us that excessive pride and ambition can blind us to the consequences of our actions and lead to our own ruin. 2. The value of kindness and humility. Paul's kindness and humility were his greatest strengths. His concern for his brother's well-being, even at the cost of his own success, highlights the importance of compassion and selflessness. These qualities often lead to true happiness and fulfillment. 3. The consequences of deception. Peter's lies and deceit only served to prolong his suffering and bring about his eventual punishment. This story reminds us that honesty and integrity are essential virtues and that deception will eventually be uncovered. 4. The power of truth and justice. The singing bone symbolizes the power of truth and justice. No matter how long it takes, the truth will eventually come to light, and justice will prevail. This story encourages us to always seek the truth and stand up for justice, even in the face of adversity. 5. The importance of family and brotherhood. The bond between Peter and Paul was tragically broken by Peter's actions. This story underscores the importance of valuing and nurturing our relationships with our family and loved ones, and the devastating consequences of betraying that trust. In the end, the story of Peter and Paul serves as a timeless reminder of the virtues we should strive to embody